Hello everyone, I'm Amit Danay, Chief Editor and founder of ANA Digest. Welcome to the sixth episode of the ANA Digest Mighty Mind series. This episode is titled Retrospection. We have with us a group of talented architects and interior designers who are enjoying great success today. They have a lot of projects under their belt. At the same time, they are midway through their career stage. So they have a long journey ahead. In this episode, we've asked them relevant questions, asked them to retrospect about their design journeys, the do's and don'ts which they followed, their approach, their methods, their attitudes. Let us learn, delve into their minds, and see how they made their career choices. Very good evening, and thank you so much for accepting my invitation for being part of the ANA Digest Mighty Minds. Thank you so much. Let's begin the evening with Kavita. Kavita, why are you an architect? Why did you choose this profession?
Amit, this profession, to be honest, has just happened to me. Happened to me in a way that I passed out about 25 years back, and then when you didn't have much of a say in front of your family or friends as such, and my parents, my brother, they wanted me to be different than an engineer or a doctor. And yes, architecture seemed to be a profession which would kind of carry me in, because the way I love to involve and evolve with things, I guess that is what they must have seen in me. And now I can say maybe that is the reason why I am an architect. But yeah, largely I think what in architecture has pulled me has been, to be able to relive cultures, lifestyles, travel, to be able to, the scalability of the projects and people and the kind of things which happen. I guess it just kind of creates an aura of being enigmatic, and I guess as that's what it is.
Wonderful. So you're proud to be an architect. You're proud of it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anand?
Well, it is a funny thing. The progression started ever since I was a kid. My father is not an architect, and he has designed my hometown house multiple times. He used to break walls. Like he likes to change layouts. So he used to break walls, doors here to there, and I used to observe this, and I have seen how spaces transform with little modifications. So maybe it was there in my subconscious mind, and I'm here. Academically, there was no special plans. Sometimes it is destiny, and it pulls you to the right space.
Oh, that's wonderful, Anand. Thank
Yeah.
you. Same question I would like to ask you, Sheetal.
Okay, you can say I was born with a set square and compass in my hand. So I belong to a family, an architectural background. So my dad was into construction business, and we have five architects, and all majority of my cousins are architects and landscape designers. So you can understand why I got into this. But somewhere when I was in my 10th or 12th, I was forced to take, in my 12th, I guess, I was forced to take accounts. And so this, it was not, I was not able to digest accounts. Like even today, the digits just roll around. So, so eventually I had to take accounts and come to Pune for further studies. So Satara had we didn't have further education stuff there. So once I came here in Pune, I was again inclined to interior design. I dropped my commerce college and I took up interior design. I unfortunately couldn't take architecture because I studied commerce, but that is how I think, because I was born with all this stuff. Since my third, when I was almost around 3 years old when I used to visit sites with my dad, and all the construction sites and all. So model making and designing and the conversation we had in our home, it was like all architectural thing. So that inevitably I got into design field, and I'm happy with it.
Swati?
Uh, Architecture is my passion from childhood. So there are many historical places in and around Satara. That is my hometown. So I used to roam around that places like Mahuli Ghat, Vaighat, Motechi Veer. You all should know about these places, and that inspired me. The architecture, the style, the proportions, the scale. That inspired me to pursue architecture. So I just follow my passion, and here now I am working as an architect.
That's great. Chetan?
Well, when I was in the school, one of the architect has designed my house, like the interior, and he used to make the small isometric and the sketches of the furniture. That was very fascinating for me. So that was one point where I thought that I would become an interior designer or the architect. And after doing my 12th in the science stream, I was fed up with the reading books and all those things. So finally decided that we'll do something which doesn't have many books to read, and just sketching and all the stuffs I was interested in. So I came into the architecture.
Okay. Tanvi?
I would say I'm an architect by accident. I mean, because I've always been an artist first. So for me, I've been sketching, painting right from my, like my first standard or so. And then when I finally reached my 12th, when I actually had to take a decision that, now what? You need to choose a profession, you need to like it for your lifetime. And I was like, okay, I think I'll start painting. So my mom just, came up to me one day and she was telling me that, girl, you can't make a living out of it. Probably you can be a designer and you can make a living out of it. And that is how I got into it. And as in how I developed my profession, I looked in for it. I liked what I do. And I started blending it up with my design, with my art, and yeah, today I'm a happy designer.
Kapil?
Yeah, thanks, Amit. Story starts with my visits to my mama's place, who used to be an engineer in PWD. So he used to all have blueprints and that 0.5, 0.2 pens. I think everybody has used that. I used to get very fascinated about that pen and using that. And being small, going to a small town, I used to copy him a lot. So afternoon session used to be, I used to take his cycle, roll the drawing, take the pen, have just one round of cycle, come back, okay, I've gone to site and come back. No background of any architects or any designers. I think that was the passion which automatically, being in creative all the time, doing something or the other in interest, and being the youngest at home, I think lucky enough to got all the freedom to do any damn thing I want to do it. I think that automatically pulled me to architecture, and that journey became very smooth. 12th, then got admission very smoothly, and here I am, an architect. I'm very happy about this profession and getting all my freedom to do that.
Excellent. Sheetal?
For me, it's a very different story, I can say. Like for me, like when I was a smaller kid, whenever we visit to a wedding or somewhere in a big hotels, and there was a time like there was a reception, always I enter in the lobby of that hotel and I used to worry, wow, what is this place like, how it looks and how it has been created. That was always my fascinating, like, arey ye bahut acha lag raha hai. Something, how it is created. We never know all these things. Like, and it's every time that was the question in my mind, and that time I was not knowing about this profession very much, but slowly some like people observe us, and somebody told my parents like, yeah, she's interested in this. That time even I was not knowing this, like, okay, this profession can be so great and can be helpful for others to, like, what is a home exactly it is. So it's like slowly somebody told, and then we got into this like my parents got my admission in the interiors, and like while studying the interiors, I came to know what exactly that, like why that place used to look so great after so much of efforts. That was my story. Like later on, now we are here to design for everybody.
Amrita?
Yeah, so about me, I would say I am from a family where my dad is into textile business. And when that period comes, when you think about what you have to do, I used to see that he has same type of clients, same place you have to go for shopping, and everything is very monotonous. So whenever I used to discuss with him ki what I have to do, and I used to tell there should be something different every time, you should have some innovations. And of course, I was very much creative in my childhood. So I think I'm very close to my dad, and he dragged me that this will be the best profession for you. And I think that's where I landed, and I think I'm very happy to be here.
You did your architecture in Bombay?
Yeah, I did it from Sir J.J. College of Architecture.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was an amazing round. Thank you so much all for being so candid and sharing your stories of how you chose this profession. We'll go to Anand. Anand, how do you mentally prepare for a big project after you receive the client's brief, and especially when that project is very pivotal, very important for your profession or your career, and you feel it might be the best project, best work done by you yet? How do you, is there a process how you mentally prepare?
Well, for all our projects we get to design, we kind of follow a same procedure for all our projects. We kind of try to decode client's brief and formulate it in a design program. And with certain set of considerations and following a standard procedure, we try to formulate a design scheme for it. But for some unique projects which we can consider it as a pivotal project, we try to throw an internal design competition within our team members. And for certain projects, we have then, in that case, for one project, we have multiple design ideas from the team members, and the best scheme is presented to the client.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to ask you this amazing award-winning project which you have just done.
Yes.
The name is Idea Factory, I believe.
Jumpstart. It is Workspace on Rooftop.
Workspace on Rooftop.
One of the
It has won ANI awards also. It has been selected in our magazine, The Next, and plus so many other. So what was the process then where you got the client's brief? Very briefly, I would like to ask, just to support this question which I had asked earlier. So when that brief you received, what was the process you followed?
Well, the client is in close contact with us, so we had easy access to site. So we used to visit site, had a brainstorming session at site. We used to take our team to the sites, and it was a rooftop terrace, and we had to convert it into an office space. So we used to had multiple design discussions on site. We used to we tried multiple options. We did mock-ups, and through various set of design revisions, we have come to the scheme.
Okay. So to sum it up, your process is once you get the client's brief, you sometimes have an internal competition amongst your team members for brainstorming, or you just have a brainstorming session through which ideas.
We usually have a brainstorming session. We use like ideas from each designer brain in our team and try to use best possible ideas. So yes.
Okay. Same question I would like to ask Kapil.
Amit, first thing is the requirement which we get. All the projects we treat as important. Like the scale is never the matter. We start with the basic requirements check is very important. Like many times client doesn't know what exactly they want. They give their rough requirements and all that. So formulating that, creating a story is very important for our design right now. So what story suits the perfect client perfectly is been derived. That's one day which generally goes in our office. So if we get a requirement today, tomorrow is the briefing of requirement, next day is just a concept. So there's nothing goes on drawing, nothing goes anywhere, just a story, and then that story starts getting into the product. So this is the way all the projects are handled.
Kapil, this is a rider of a question, but see, I've seen you doing projects for multinational companies, right from the Tieto which we had featured, or in your latest so many projects. So I've seen you mostly having a huge portfolio, huge body of work in corporate offices, and especially multinationals. So when a bungalow is being designed or a apartment is designed, the architect and the family come close. They share a lot. The architect or the designer delves into their lifestyles, and there is a warm relation. But is it too cold in the corporate world where everything is very black and white, and or it does do these emotions also exist there between clients and?
Emotions definitely exist. Getting into corporate interiors for me was a quick design and flexibility about giving, and the product is right in front of you in 3 to 4 months. So that has always fascinated me. That has gone when I worked with for set designing with Mr. Nitin Desai. Like 3 days and the whole bungalow used to be ready, and that continued overall. So that attracted me. We have also designed some bungalows and like different kind of say farmhouses and all that stuff. So yeah, the inputs both are emotionals definitely, because for a office person who is handling this project is also equally important for him to be, this project has to be functionally perfect as well as aesthetically best around his own office and other fraternity in this office. So emotions are definitely there.
Okay. Same question I would like to ask Amrita.
Yeah, so when a new project is coming, I think there are two main things which we focus on is designing and simultaneously management of how the things will move ahead when such a big project we have to deal. So there are certain timelines and certain deliveries which we, right from the day one, we started so that the client is happy. And in the part of designing, as he said, we also everyone sit together and one architect from the office will be working on it, but ideas are taken from each and everyone. So whole office knows that what all projects we are working on, and we gather a lot of information when everyone discusses on it. So
but do the dynamics of the clients also, does it make you differ in your mental process? For example, I believe you're doing bungalows at rural areas like Bhusawal also, and you're doing great projects in Pune. So clientele in a rural area and clientele in a city and urban, so does that make you change your process in some way?
yeah, of course, there is very different type of clientele everywhere, and I think we have to deal it accordingly. So I think when they come from rural areas, we have to introduce to them with very different things, that this is there in the market, we can do this. And when we have clients who are in metro city, they come with to us with lot of varieties, and they have already many things in the mind which they want that this should happen. So I think this is the major difference.
So you adapt mentally.
Yeah, of course. We ultimately we have to keep the client happy. So that much flexible we are.
Absolutely. Chetan?
When any project comes to us, it's very essential for us to understand the client's psychology and what he wants, and maybe his brief is saying something, but we always try to deliver beyond what is he is expecting. So that is one case, and other is like Anand said, we always have a brainstorming session in the office itself about the how to deal with this project uniquely, and not like the before what we did for the other clients. So we want to have it a very unique approach to every project.
So you all both are partners, right?
Yes.
So who wins an argument? If both have different views about a design or
yeah, that many times that happens, but ultimately one has to give up. So, if others' idea is quite strong, then one yeah.
While arguing only, you are aware that yes, you have a lower hand and he has upper hand, so you have to give up.
Tanvi?
For me, I think I'm more of a people's person. So I would first like to understand what my client is. I would first like to understand that person as a person. And then I start my design process, and probably what I understand from him, I pass it on to my team. And we will, of course, have a brainstorming session. We have multiple designs coming into. We have sketching going on. We have one rule in our office, you can't be just, showing me random pictures and telling me that, ma'am, we'll do this and, it's going to look nice. You have to sketch it down. You have to bring it down to paper. And then we develop forms, and that is how we prepare for our project.
Wonderful. Same question I would like to ask Kavita.
So largely, as Tanvi mentioned, that yeah, when clients come in, we do try and first kind of note down and understand their brief. But we've prepared a set of questionnaire, just to help them kind of trash out whatever is there in their mind to better understand them, probably to find out the finer nuances which would be there. And once that is in, we try and develop a concept around it, where in terms of concept, is the entire team works on individual concepts, and then there's a concept which would be picked in. So it's not like juggling it out, but it's like seeing who has that upper hand of picking up on the concept and being able to translate it in line with the questionnaire, and that's what goes ahead further in going into the detail of designing.
Interesting. Same question I'll ask Sheetal.
For us, whenever the new projects arise, as Chetan said, to know the client psychology is more important. First, we know the client, like his lifestyle, definitely, and the kinds he is expecting, because there are certain clients, like you can say, they come up with certain things which are not suitable for their lifestyles or something like that. And so that's why first understand their lifestyle, their requirements, and later on it is always like you only one point contact we keep with the clients, like nobody else should contact, because it's always like whatever he refers, it directly comes to me, because when I am designing for them, so I should understand what he wants to say. So the most important is like one point contact whenever he feels, and like for some starting days we have to be available for him for more time, like whenever he calls, because he can get ideas anytime. Ma'am, I remember this. There are many clients for us, like at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, they call, ma'am, aaj main yahan gaya tha, we want to see, I saw that something. So just feel free for them. And then we start designing, like we try to understand the person first, his concepts, what he wants, and then later on we start designing for them. Like it won't be immediate starting for them. Like we give some time and take briefs from them, actually, what they want.
You recently completed your own bungalow.
Yes.
And did you do justice to your own home, or you didn't give it much time and you completed other projects first on hand?
Actually, I think that question you should ask to my husband, that I have given that justice. But from my end, yes, definitely, because end of the day, that was the major task for me. To design own house is a very big, difficult time.
Plus,
like,
being your own one point contact with your own self.
No, I was not the one. He was the one point. Actually, while designing my own house, it was like I was the designer for the house and my concepts were clear, but convincing my family members and especially my husband for that, it was very difficult for me. And actually, to be very frank, for the clients, I have never made so many plans what I have made for my house. It was like almost 30 plans I must have made. Every time I make something, and he was like, we can do something like this also.
It's beautiful. I saw the pics and the daylight you have harnessed in your home.
That was his idea for me. Like that was special requirement, I can say, from his side.
Swati?
When we receive the brief by the client, first we do is we develop the interpretation of that project. Then without site visit, you can't imagine the structure, what you are going to offer to the client. So first we visit a site, then understand the site context, that is, I mean, topography, climate, access to the site, and surroundings. So this helps us to create basic concept for the design. The next part is, of course, case studies for the project, because for big project you need case studies. So going through similar project so that you can't miss a single aspect of design, whatever you are going to do or design. And then after collecting all these things, just sketching means you have to put your imagination and ideas onto the paper. Without that, you can't express your thoughts. So
why does your husband, architect Sangram Patil, give you the credit for the success of Cuboid designs? He told me when I invited him for this, he said, it's Swati all the way. She's the one who's Cuboid.
It's funny question actually. See, दो आर्किटेक्ट्स कभी एक सोच नहीं सोच सकते. So whatever we design means if I design, I put it in front of him, and then he just criticize on that. So and the same process, vice versa. So the final solution, whatever will come, it's the best possible solution. So not for this interview, sometimes he attend the function, sometimes me. So it's
So he was being modest, according to you. Thank you so much, Swatiji. Sheetal?
Okay, like the procedure, as always, it is understanding the client first and understanding his needs. See, our main purpose is to, uplift his lifestyle or enhance his lifestyle. So that is our basic purpose. So understanding the client is very much important. Secondly, once we get all the information, once the basic analysis is done, we try to go to the site, may that be interiors or architecture also. So we go to the site and we take a feel of that site. And I don't know, rest of the things are just taken over.
I would like to interrupt you here.
Yeah.
I've studied your projects and I love observing them.
Yes.
But is it that you leave your particular signature on your projects? Because most of the projects they are very you use natural products.
Yes.
There are warm colors.
Yes.
Even there's a warm certain the ambience is always warm and natural
Right.
products.
Right.
So is this how you convince the clients, or eventually all clients they have inclination towards your choice of?
I am a very much a person who is, in love with nature. I don't know. That is myself maybe. So the abundance in nature is what I try to get into the project, because see, the client is he comes to you for some solution. It is not that he knows it and that is why he asks us to do something.
But suppose a client's choice is blingy and he loves the
some jazz.
reflective surfaces
Yeah.
with the solid surfaces,
Yeah.
or that kind of a splash of colors which are totally opposite to natural colors.
Right.
So then such times, what do? You do what the client wants. Finally he is coming to you for, or you refuse the project, or you
No, I don't.
you convert that client towards natural.
I never refuse any of the projects, but yes, when it comes to color choices, or each client is different, and there are clients, like sometimes I had a client a few years back who was a young couple and very jazzy lifestyle and all, and I think with their requirements I definitely gave them what they wanted. But with my this thing, but it is not that I put in my likings or something like that. But I love nature's intervention, and I try to get that abundance into any space I design.
Okay.
So that's
fine.
my.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We come to the next question. Kapil, I would like to come to you with this. So, what's your trick? What makes your projects likable to your clients?
I think creativity is what the final key for it. Everything you do which makes him comfortable in all manners. So creativity in terms of not only look and feel, creativity in terms of technicalities, in terms of easy to use that space very comfortably. Any space, like architecture, we always talk about space. So usable space is something, the most easy you use it, the most better it is. So that is what my key mantra always has been.
So, your clients love their spaces because you give them optimum space utilization through your creativity as well as aesthetically also.
Definitely. So functionality is first important, then comes as the creativity, but luckily both follow together.
So, creativity is your trick. What makes your projects likable?
Absolutely.
Anand?
Well, I try to gather it from initial discussions with clients. We are mostly doing residential, so we are dealing with mostly domestic customers. So I try to gather gather things from initial discussions with clients, and client is always giving you hints in the initial discussion that what are the must-have things for him. So I try to put them in the design without compromising on the functional and aesthetic, of course. Yeah, it has worked many times for us.
So you are a good listener. That's what you're saying. You interpret the client's needs, requirements.
Yeah, you
by
can
being
say
a-
that. But yes, the must-have things if they are there in the design, especially in case of residences. So yeah, you win the game.
Excellent. Kavita.
For me, I guess what's been the key aspect has been that clients generally they want it to be more about their dream. It has to be more about them and less about me. So I work on their impression and what is it that they would want to reflect in their lifestyles, and maybe less an imprint about me.
Okay. Do your clients get super impressed when they come to that amazing studio of yours with the heritage aura around?
Yes, I mean they are odd. They are kind of taken in with, especially it's a 100-year-old structure and it's a grade 3 conservation building. So yeah, I had a wonderful time even making that place up. But I think what matters is what I'm able to deliver and satisfy them with in terms of maybe getting their dreams on ground, and that's what gets them to me.
Absolutely. Tanvi?
As I said earlier, I interact a lot with my client. Now, whenever I am doing up or dressing up a restaurant, for me, it's very important that what kind of food are you selling? Like, I remember years ago, we had made a place called as Sarasota, wherein we had initially planned making the restaurant with, like, come on, we're going to serve Maharashtrian food over there. So we were like, okay, so we had all those wooden arches and, it was completely made in wood and everything. So, and just we was about to start work the next day, and the client comes up to me and says that we've changed our decision and we're turning the place into a Portugal restaurant. So I was like, do you know what you're talking about? So he was like, yeah, कुछ नहीं, बस थोड़ा बहुत polish का इधर उधर हो जाएगा and we'll manage it. I said, it's not that. So then again, we had to come down to ground zero, get the basic form of design remains same. And I strongly believe that any theme in design you work on too, it is not about what form you choose. More or less, the forms are same for design. It is how you finish them into, and that is how we decided to finish up the place. And we got in. We had a brief talks with the chef out there. What are you going to serve? What do you want the vibe of the restaurant to be like? And yeah, we had certain elements coming in, like we had Mario Miranda paintings that would dress up the wall. Or, there was a famous poster in Dil Chahta Hai, like you have the three friends sitting over and, gazing towards the ship. So, we had such posters which would, make people connect. And we had a wall wherein we had written in Russian saying, what happens in Goa stays in Goa. So that is how we reworked around the entire concept. So, in spite the theme had changed, yes, we did manage it up with just changing a bit polishes.
Tanvi, you being a wonderful artist, I've seen your paintings. In fact, one of your paintings won the ANA Digest Award
Right,
also, plus
right.
other awards.
Yeah.
So, does it help in your profession, being an artist? Or does it help in?
Certainly. Because most of the times, as I said, a form is beautiful when you finish it well. So when you have to finish a form well, you have to understand the essence of the color that matters to the form. And that is the reason, and that is the place where my art plays a role into it. So, whenever you paint, while making a painting, like even if I'm making a sketch of someone, I need to be in love with that person. I cannot make something just random saying that, okay, fine, I just have to make a sketch and give it to him. And that is where the colors and everything play a part into it. So definitely it has helped me a lot being an artist to be a designer.
Swati?
An architect need to be a good listener. So I put myself or I imagine myself as a client. So I can understand the project from his or her point of view, and then I can create the space. And the most important thing is convincing skills and your design.
That's the your trick. Amrita?
Yeah, so I think listening to everybody, understanding the client is the most important thing. But in that, what I try to understand is what is the main priority of that client in that particular project, and I just try to hit that nail so that my other things are pushed in. So, you know, when you come to me and you say I have to design a house, so everyone has priority. Some has Vastu priority, some has light ventilation priority, some has etc. etc. So I try to fulfill the highest priority of that client so that rest of my innovations and everything I can introduce, and so it's not only giving importance to him or me, so we both come on the same platform. So if in interiors you consider, if client is coming up with very bright colors, so there are 4 walls, so one wall I'll listen to him, then the 3 walls are mine. So
Okay. So that's a skill you've acquired.
yeah,
And-
ultimately we have to keep them happy.
Yeah. Chetan?
Yeah, like she has said, we try to listen to the client first, and then listening to his ideas, then we try to like impose our ideas onto the client.
And when the client is wrong fundamentally, you know, design wise it's wrong. Suppose he comes up with something, he's very obstinate, but it is wrong fundamentally. Then how do you cope up?
We try to like basically convince him multiple times. Like I try to convince him first, then I'll do some like tricks. We'll discuss with the Anand like how to tackle this
You want
one.
to share something? Want to share any anecdote or an
There
incident?
are many actually. I don't remember exact the.
You can tell it without naming the client.
No, that's not the case. But there are many times like client wants something which is not practical, not like feasible on site. So we have to convince him anyhow.
Okay. Sheetal?
So the basic understanding is always understanding the client. But apart from that, I believe our trick is, having a sense of freedom of thoughts. That is it plays a major role in our designs.
That's fate, that's luck. It's not a trick. No, how is it in your hands? Whether
Yeah,
the
so-
client will give you
So
freedom.
convincing the client is always very much it's dicey sometimes. Sometimes the client is like he's always for your design. That is why he approaches you. But there are times that he's impractical, and convincing him it's difficult. But I think that at that moment I take my being a woman
That's your-
priority, and I say that this is going to be the best. And I don't know, that's my luck. I think he gets convinced if that's a male client, but female client again I have to convince in a female version of the explanation, and then they get convinced. That's
Excellent. Sheetal?
For me, for each client, it is very different. But definitely, the most important key is like where yes, all my like if I am designing for a villa and my all things are settled, only one room is not getting settled over there. It's getting complicated. Then I understand the person's view over there and try to take in confidence about like the whose room it is actually, and try to convince that, and then also it doesn't get affected. Yes, definitely we use some different tacts like we show the positivity also and we show the negativity also of that place. And yes, sometimes we definitely lie over there, and sometimes like we take, definitely I always visit my partners with there, so I always put my some points, positive points or negative points over there, where my partners just he opposed that points and he convinced the clients in that different way.
So you play the
Yeah.
good cop, bad cop trick.
Yeah, you can say that is the best trick you can play with the clients.
Your clients are going to watch this film, huh?
But all clients are different, so they don't know where I'm using these tricks.
Okay, that ends this round of questions. We'll come to the next question. We'll start with Tanvi. Tanvi, which architect or designer do you admire the most? You're awestruck or starstruck, and dead alive Indian international, and why?
I admire Philip Stark a lot. The reason why I admire him a lot is if you see at the surface, again, he's a person who plays with the forms. Lately, he had completed something in the Yo Pune project, the sample flat that he had done. When I had visited that place also, it had a different vibe altogether. I mean, we had always used those carving legs of a table and all, and we used to think कि wood hai na, so we have to finish it in brown color. He had done it in a statement making way, wherein he had colored them into different colors altogether. Like we had white legs, or we had a hot pink that was used. I really like the way how he uses colors in a bold way.
Okay. Kavita?
For me, I think if you ask one person, it's a little difficult. But yeah, I think my living guru, Manish Bankar. I think I've had the privilege of being one of the first persons in the firm, and sharing that space, that learning. His way of molding us into thinking inside out. I guess that's what has kind of given me a very different edge of the way I understand my projects. And for me, at any point when I'm clogged, I just close my eyes, think it over, that as to how would he approach it, or maybe how he has accessed it in his design. And I think I'm most of the times able to find a solution for it.
That's wonderful. Yeah, Sheetal?
Okay, so I don't believe in following a particular person is as such, because each individual is different, and being designers, we are artists by nature. So I believe may that be Sunita Kohli or B.V. Doshi, or even Sri Sant from Sri Lanka. He's an artist. Or there are enormous designers all around, and it's like I basically I look up to them in a way, how they handle a particular opportunity, how they give their outputs towards that particular situation. And that is how I keep learning. And learning, I believe this process will be till my end. I'll be learning, because I'm too small in front of the expanse of design industry as such. But I believe I'm not following anyone as such, but I'm learning from each and every individual. May that be somebody from my team as well. That may be my student when I'm teaching, or may that be any extraordinary person, as we know as designers. I love to follow. I love to learn from them rather than follow them.
Okay. Sheetal?
I think I am very much convinced with the same thought what Sheetal has shared. Like we don't follow somebody, but at every stage and wherever you visit, it means you see something and then you admire. And who must have designed this? Then they must be having some thought process behind that, because it's not like if we will like everything from that design. We like something of that design. So it's not like if we are admiring yes, definitely we are admiring that design for that purpose. So it's not like a particular individual for that fact, but yes, every time whenever you're designing or we come across some things, we learn something from that and we admire, yeah, this looking nice, we can take this from there.
Okay.
And something is good over there. So in that way we are just like, it's even you can say like even ask juniors who are working under us, they teaches us something and we admire, yeah, she have a good intellectual things like.
So you don't have any particular architect whom you admire?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Amrita?
Yeah, I think coming from JJ, there is a list of our alumni. There are B.V. Doshi, Nari Gandhi, and then there are different generations where I like the people, even some who are very much senior to me. So there is a lot of list, but I would like to take name of one architect. He's not from JJ, of course. He is a Swiss architect, Peter Zumthor, whose project I happened to visit when I was doing my master's. And you will not find his website or on, you will not find him on Insta, but he's an award-winning architect and he do very less project, but all his project are very much simple, materialistic, and very much that building he thinks that how that building will suit that specific land. And very different type of construction, not always brick and like this, very different type of project. He has done like thermal walls in Switzerland. There is this resort named Thermal, which is where he has tried to use very local material, but though it is a five-star hotel. And on opposite to that, he has done a very small chapel. So he do very different type of project. No monotonous thing is there. And what I learned from is that we should, as an architect, always aim to make iconic buildings. I mean, whether you do some less projects, but something new ideas and something which no one has seen before, that should come out of you. And I think Peter Zumthor is that one whom
Any
I
particular
follow.
project which you yearn to do, which you never done before?
Of course, like this, what I said, I earn to do something very iconic, which will remain in the minds of people even when the author is not there. I mean, even when I'm not there, I want that building should be remembered and should be seen by generations to come.
Kapil, any architect whom you admire the most?
Like admiring, it's more of people to whom you should admire than not only architect, because I'm an architect, so it doesn't need to you should admire architect. And I think that has come to me admiring people whom have interacted very closely, and there are different ways and different things which I have been with zero background of architecture and all that. So my dad has been a very silent admirer to me, like a very silent person in this earth. Then got into architecture, 50 architecture. We felt कि, oh, now we will be an architect and we can do this, that. Luckily got a chance to work with Nitin Desai. 48 hours we were standing to just hand over one of the project which was supposed to be done in 48 hours. So no sleep, nothing. Seventh day we thought of running back to Pune, but then thought ki okay, let's give a shot to it. So interacting. So Nitin Desai is again has given me inspiration to do whatever you want, but time is important. So in architecture there are different, not only design, it's time, it's how silent sometime you are, or how when you have to speak. Coming to that, and definitely, so people whom I have been very close to, my ex-boss, who has taught us many things, including what not to be done. So I think I've never learned from anyone from books or reading something. Yeah, project-wise, if you talk about architect, Zaha Hadid projects, I always love it. And I think I go in a very similar manner since day one, that flexibility in the designs and free flow. There's something very rigid. So I think that's the like which I went into.
Anand?
Well, legends are many. Like ever since college days, we have been following works of many architects. We have been studying works of many architects. But talking about recent times, we have been following works of Mumbai-based architect Bijoy Jain and another Sri Lankan architect Palinda Kalangara. So we have been following these master architects' works, and the spaces created by them through simplest possible interventions are just amazing. And their control over material selection, control over proportions, it is just remarkable and amazing. Yeah, we try to follow their work.
Swati?
It's quite difficult for me to specify a single name because many architects contributed through their fantastic architectural work to the society. But yes, there are two names. One is architect Laurie Baker, well known for his vernacular style of architecture. So I like his cost-effective exposed brickwork with play of light and ventilation and detailing. And the second name is, of course, architect Zaha Hadid. I love her free-flowing, futuristic, modern, contemporary architectural style. So that's it.
Chetan, coming to you, do you think Indian clients are maturing towards good design?
I think yes, because of access to the internet has changed the client's perception about design. They are exposed to a global design as well. So it's changing, but it has its side effects as well. So yeah, but they are seeing the new stuff, new designer, the international designs. So I think they are maturing.
What are the side effects?
Side effects like must be very common to everyone. They come up with some Pinterest images and they want to replicate that into their house, which is not feasible at all. So that is the most disadvantage.
Why is it not feasible? Is it because it puts pressure on you as a designer, or it's not the right way they get educated through Pinterest?
It's not the right thing. Like you come up with some like picture and you want us to replicate that. So that is not what we are here for.
So you don't mind a client who is well traveled in the world today and knows and sees things and then shares with you, ki, this is what I desire, and that is fine with you.
Some ideas, if he has, like I'll share one example, that one bungalow we are designing in Baner right now. That client has come up with the elevation and he want to replicate exact house. So we initially came up with different ideas that we shared some like not our but like very known architects work with him. Like you see through it how they have dealt with the houses and refer to that. But he was very stuck with one elevation and he wanted it to be replicated as it is. So we somehow negotiated with him and we are replicating that but in our way.
So they are maturing, but there are side effects.
Yeah.
That's what you feel. Okay. Same question, Kapil.
Yes, definitely clients are maturing a lot in terms of exposure. I think that's the same point all over, getting images from the client, wishing to their stories what they want is what. So our struggle has been increased a lot. One thing has happened is the signature style has gone little off mode until unless we become famous, that client is coming to us because of our style. So that's something has gone missing, or it's taking more time for us to develop our style or image about, okay, this architect is going to come up in this manner. So yes, effects and side effects both are there. But on the other side, about good parts, people are respecting till the level of labors. So that's the best part. I have seen the change from treating labor as a labor to now labor as one of the important person of the team. So that, because the client, yeah, we do definitely from our side we respect from, but the respect from client is again very important. So that has come up a good change due to globalization, I think.
Sheetal?
Clients are definitely maturing here in India. There are plus, I mean, positive and negative sides to it, but I feel with more of travel and access to internet and education as such, the maturity is drastic, and I feel with this they have an understanding of their requirement also. So because initially I believe with previous generation they would have had a difficulty about the client was not able to understand himself at first, but today client knows what he wants, and I think that is very important for us also to handle the client.
So you're happy?
Yeah,
with their
yes,
maturity?
definitely. So this is the positive side, and when we talk about the negative side, it is like they have a bundle of ideas, and then they want all the concepts to be incorporated in one room or one project, and that is too much of a burden for us sometimes, because then we are not left with our thoughts or our imagination or our innovation. And but somehow it at that moment it becomes a little difficult for them to convince to our thoughts. But But yes, pros and cons are always there, so we need to tackle these situations. But they are definitely mature.
But you feel pressure is on you now, designers,
yes.
because they are matured
Yes,
and they
yes.
have access to a lot of.
Yes, definitely, yes.
Okay.
There are, I'm sorry, there are times when you are not aware of a particular situation, but your client is. So at that time, you have to go back, actually study about what he was talking. Maybe he has traveled somewhere where I haven't, or we haven't as such. And that is like a little bit difficult, because at that moment, you cannot answer him. Then you have to go back, you have to study, and then next time you come back with that answer. So it's a little challenging. These days it has become so.
Anand?
Yeah, the clients are maturing to good designs. The people travel a lot. They are getting exposed to good architecture with internet. But previously we used to have different experience. Like we used to have a different separate set of presentation for clients, like about what is good design, and then we used to present our design scheme to them. But nowadays, yes, people are maturing to good design, but the side effects are we have to explain them the feasibility aspect of what their liking is. And our conference room wallpaper desktop is Pinterest banned. That is our wallpaper background now. And yes, people are maturing to good design, but now they need to know the budgetary aspect of it also. Sometimes people just have one image in hand and they don't know the budget associated to it. So yes, it has to be maturing in other way also.
Sometimes it is seen in the history that whenever clientele matures, the design also matures. Good designs come out because the clients have raised the bar. So I don't want to compare, but decades ago, the design which was seen in our city and today what's seen, it's partially also because clients have matured and they are demanding more, and it keeps the designers also on toes to update themselves, their own knowledge. And do you agree with this?
Definitely, the internet, people travel there. It has made a difference, and it has made our job easy. Definitely,
Yeah. But it has its drawbacks, as you all are
it has its
mentioning.
drawbacks. Yes, correct.
Yeah, Kavita.
Yeah, as most of the colleagues have mentioned, yeah, pros and cons to the maturity that is coming up. They are maturing, but what is happening is that the entire construction industry, the entire design industry is in its formative stage in terms of organizing things out, in terms of understanding the parallels, in terms of, as Anand mentioned, economics also along with design. So design doesn't come as just an image. There are technicalities to it, there are details to it, there are feasibilities to it, and these are the factors which are equally important with that maturity, and that aspect somewhere doesn't hold weightage is because it's random things being put together, and somewhere I guess the originality is missing, because no matter how much you would want to do something original, but you have to satisfy your end user or the need of your customer, and you need to make sure that they are happy with what is given, because finally they are the ones who are going to live through it. So yeah, I mean, they're maturing, but the maturity has to happen in a little mature way, I guess.
Tanvi?
Yes, I am happy, in fact, with this whole change that is happening around, because more than cons, probably I like the pros about it. Initially, when I used to sit down with my client, I used to take a lot of efforts in explaining him that if I'm referring to a wooden cane, what does it look like? The most common thing that all designers might have faced is, if it's A for aeroplane for me, it is A for apple for him. It's never A for aeroplane for him. So that is what was the challenge which we always used to face. But nowadays it is like, the people have traveled so much, they have exposure via the internet so much, and they are very well versed with what you are trying to explain. The whole process gets very easy. Definitely your the responsibility that you have as a designer on you is more. You can't just get off with anything saying that no, this has some technical aspects and that is the reason I'm doing it. Today the client is being demanding. He expects you to answer his question of please explain me why you're doing this.
initially the why was never a question. How it looks was always a question. But now the client is more interested to know why are you doing it, which has really helped me change my outlook towards design. So I feel more than a negative impact, I think it is having a very positive impact if we take it on the society, that yes, people are being educated and it is helping all of us. I mean, I would take it like that.
So you think rather than the earlier generations, now currently they also update themselves about trends and materials, and they
Yeah,
understand.
definitely. I mean, I was just talking to her a while ago. I have a client who has sat with me and designed in every bit of his room. Like the daughter of my client came up to me saying that I want my house into a modern tropical theme. So I was zapped that time. I was like, "Are you sure? Do you want a modern tropical theme?" And she was like, "This is my research." Even today, when I send her a bunch of drawings saying that, "Ma'am, this is how the places are going to look like," she will take efforts, sit on sit on the internet or make a presentation of it. That, Tanvi, these are the changes which I'm expecting you to do it. Earlier, all this happened over just a verbal communication, that you're on a site one fine day with your client. अच्छा ये ऐसे नहीं ना, वो ऐसा कर दो, हाँ. I mean, I don't like this, like that. But today they've been so conscious because they have been conscious about the money that also they are spending. Like people are not questioning about. I mean, as designers, we no longer question them. Do you have the capacity to spend or not? It is the capacity of the designer to convince you to spend that much. And more than you ask the client to spend, it is more about, are you being justified? I mean, are you justifying what you're asking him to do? And these are the counter questions your client is also doing with you. So it is helping us all together, I feel.
Well spoken.
Yeah.
Swati?
Yes, the things are changing now because from last 15 to 20 years, there has been a drastic change in all sectors, means IT, whatever you healthcare sector and hospitality and all many more sectors. So, and now because of the exposure through internet, people are more aware about, yes, we have to go to the architect and design something better. So, yes, there is definitely change in the perspective of the people.
Sheetal?
For me also, yes, definitely clients are maturing. That makes definitely a difference to us, because if they get mature, we will design them in more mature way. It's like what is their feeling, like their exposure to internets and other things. They come up with their ideas to us, and it gives us the like exposure, like to explain them. Like we are very easy to understand what they want from that, and then it becomes very easy to make them understand also, Ari, this will not look good to your house, because they come up, like everybody said, they come up with some pictures which is not suitable for their house, but they come up there by
So
saying,
they push you to be on your toes.
yeah,
You push you to your
yes,
creative limits.
definitely.
Okay. Do you feel insecure sometimes that
Yes, definitely
maybe
we feel-
if you don't keep yourself updated, the future generation may take projects, you may lose work.
Definitely. Sometimes we feel insecure, and that's why we always keep up ourselves updated with the materials, with the like. As a designer, I am there, but definitely I roam around in the timber market and just go to the random shops and just I see something, I take it in my designs. Or if sometimes clients come up with something, like then I have to see, like budget is also one constraint. When the client comes, there is some image in it, like is it a glass, is it a mirror, or is it some reflective things which is showing to us. So when he matures, he also serves for the, ma'am, this is glass, we want glass over here. So it's like they are very clear with their ideas. So for them it's maturing. I think it's helpful for us to understand the designs and to design for them. It's very useful.
Amrita?
Yeah, so of course globalization is happening and clients are maturing. Specifically for me, I have different types of clients because I am working in different sectors. Like I have some projects in very rural areas also. So when clients are from cities, Pune, Nagpur, they of course have their kids and everyone, and they are free to talk to us and discuss what they want. They show everything. So I think there we are very much relaxed because we know that what they want we are giving them. So we are relaxed, they are happy. But when the client is from rural area, they, I think, don't know even what is Pinterest. But the thing is, they want that their bungalow should also be something very much, I mean, when their relatives come, it shouldn't be less than something, मतलब जो bungalow पूना में है उससे कम नहीं लगना चाहिए. So what they tell is, do as you want. And I think that is very rare what we hear. And there we get a plain sheet. And that time we can do whatever we want. What we have to keep in mind is just the budget of the client. Rest everything we have an open hand on that. So I think,
you get creative freedom in the rural areas.
Yeah, of
But
course.
does that mean that in rural areas they are not yet matured, or it's a way of thinking?
No, it's not about maturity.
They believe in surrendering.
If
to the
they were
profession.
not matured, they wouldn't have given the free hand
Correct,
actually.
correct.
Initially that would happen because the people were not that much open to contemporary design or something kind of thing. They wanted traditional kind of things like that. So they are maturing, but they are scared that their thoughts will not match and their bungalow will be not up to the mark. So they give free hand to architects or designers so that when they are investing it, it should come out very well.
So they look up to a city designer who comes in the rural area.
Yeah, and they give free hand to the city designer.
surrender to you,
Exactly.
thinking
That's what
that you are the
happens in
expert.
small areas. And in the metro, we have whole picture in our in front of us, and we just have to tick that what all we can do, and this we can't do. So that is all.
Kapil, you want to come in?
Yeah, so few points which exactly come, I just want to share one experience. We presented one design for a G+3 structure bungalow, and surprisingly, the client was not getting happy with the presentations and all that, our sheets and all that. So one fine day, like, okay, now you tell me what you want exactly. So he opened up one of the presentations of another designer, and all the pictures were, to be very shocked, were from the Google. So here I took a chance ki, okay, if this is what your liking is, I think you need to go with them and go ahead. So, but he was saying, no, you do it, but you do it this way. So I tried to convince them ki, see, again, let me give you one more presentation. I'll show everything. Now I got an idea what you are looking at and why I am presenting this. So positive point came कि ये सब तो Google से आया है. जो मैं बता रहा हूँ उसमें भी definitely there are few ideas which we are presenting it has been downloaded, but the first 3 sheets of the presentations is nothing to do with your bungalow. It is to do with your lifestyle, and that is what was missing in the other designers where ये अच्छा है, kitchen अच्छा है, या bungalow का ये material वो material. So that maturity when we guided helped me bagging that project also. So it's both sides always. Sometimes if they are over mature, it is difficult. She said ki, okay, they are giving you the free hand, but then they are still trying to study from where and how you are coming up to. So we even gave the name to the bungalow on the first sheet. Like I personally gave the name to the bungalow, and then that name went into the concept of the bungalow and then the interiors.
Has it ever happened that you didn't get due credit for your work in a particular project? You designed it, but for some reasons, a fallout or a premature of fallout or budgetary whatever, but you didn't get credit for the project, and it.
I know like one project where it was a corporate office, and there was a foreigner lady who used to interact with us. So being a foreigner, they are always dicey about the cost here. We did all the presentations, views, and the concept of how your office will be. Finally, it came down to cost, and my cost was, later I came to know, was just 10 to 15 lakhs more than the other architects, and I lost that job. Then the client called me up. Lucky, like this is very rare, but she called me up and said, "Ki Kapil, we are not giving you a project, but we are copying your designs." I said, "Please go ahead. I have already given it to you. Nothing. I don't have anything." After 6 months, 9 months, I got a call from the same lady that the next project is with you, please come and get it started.
So you showed that you're a gentleman and it got you work. Showed means you are a gentleman.
No. No, see, अभी design सब तो चला गया उनके पास और there was nothing much to talk about. If the cost was the matter, in my company's policy, we don't go down with any quality things and all that. So we left the job.
It's very
But second time, she had a very bad experience just due to that 15 lakhs. So that was good part for me.
Anybody else has such an experience where you didn't get a due credit for your project or work you have done? Anybody wants to add to this? Any incident? Tanvi?
Yeah, I think it was round about 3 years back. That was the time when I had just started venturing into restaurants. So that was a moment where I had not actually made up a big restaurant. I had just made up, say, a 100-seater or a 150-seater, and apparently that restaurant was supposed to be a 400-seater restaurant. So I was like, okay, we've got it by reference and all. So it's a great responsibility for me. When my client is trusting me, I feel that it's my responsibility. If someone is showing faith in me, I am supposed to, complete his expectations and do it. And they would take all the presentations as it happened with him. My presentations went in. We had literally submitted all our detailed drawings to that person, and then he was like, okay, we like your drawings, we like your approach, but we feel that you are not very mature to do this job, so we are giving it to an architect who's experienced than you. I said, okay, fine, you want to get in. And that all happened apparently when I was not in India. I had traveled out with my family, and it happened in just a matter of 4 days. So I had started questioning myself that why did it happen? So does age play such a big factor? I would take it it's more like in less time you've earned something more. So that is how I took it, and that was the first time I felt like, okay, if you're liking my designs, I mean, definitely I am making something, or I'm submitting the detailed drawings to you, right? Then why would you do it? But yeah, as he said, you have to be gracious and you have to just let it go.
Plagiarism is a curse to so many creative fields. Absolutely.
Definitely.
I will also add one.
Yes,
just a
Sheetal.
small experience, as we all know, there are, we all have come across many different kinds of client. Even I had one client few years back, where we designed lots of things for him, which has come up very well. And one mess which had happened, you can say, incidentally it happened, some mess happened over there because of clients only. But later on, slowly it come around, I have to quit that project. I have taken my step back, now I cannot continue with you. And there was that was the statement where he said, ma'am, aapne kya kiya hai? There's something like that come to us, and it was so bad. It definitely hurts. And that time that is the experience, such a wonderful house from outside, inside we look, everybody says that part. But later on, because of that, yes, definitely that client has not given me that credit for that house. Whatever he must have said to others, I don't know, because I left it. Later on, the projects came to me because of that house. People saw, people recognized me, and because of that, ma'am, aapne wo ghar kiya tha. So it was it is not every time you should get a credit from there, but definitely your work speaks sometimes. That is more important.
So as Kapil said, the work came back. So
yeah, the same incident, because of I didn't get credit for that house, but that house gave me more project, and people appreciated. You did that house, we know you have done that. So that's why.
Swati, which is the one most important rule which you never break in your professional practice? Your golden rule.
Be honest to yourself and your client. That's the golden rule.
So honesty is your golden rule.
Yes.
Do you manage to be honest? Is it possible to be brutally honest to a client?
Yes, definitely. If you are very clear from the beginning about your ideas or what kind of work you are going to do throughout the project with the client, then I think there is no need to lie or say something else, or means that is the honesty. So if you are honest to yourself and your client, then
as
the
small dishonesty is you reach Deccan and the client is waiting for you and you say, I'm just around the corner or something like that.
It's because of traffic sometimes. So there also you should be honest.
Honest. Okay. Yeah. Sheetal?
For me, I think we have the client should not change his plans. That is the golden rule, which I say. Like once you freeze the plan, just freeze it, and so accordingly, it gives us the thought process why we have planned in that way. And second, you can say definitely finance. It's like if once he say this is our budget, this like then the person should be available with like yes, we are thinking in that process. Plans are fixed, finances are fixed. That is my golden rule. These two things should come from the client to us. Like yes, we are going with this, and my finances are this, and this will be managed in this way. But that is the best part for
both
me.
these golden rules, 50% is in your hand and 50% is in the elements are in the client's
Yes.
hand. Suppose you freeze the plan and then he or she says, my sister has come from US and she told me you should not do this. Yeah, my guru has said ki yellow color use nahi hona hai, X, Y, Z.
This usually definitely plan wise we say we should not. That's what I tell my client. Once you freeze the plan, don't change the plan because we have put our thought process in that. And second, definitely when the clients comes to me, I specially tell them like I am designing house for you, not for the person who is telling you what to do.
Okay.
That is the main important. Like when he comes to me, this is the first statement I use for him. So when he said like when we say now we'll start with the designing, yes, the plans are freeze. And definitely that even I make my client understand that now there won't be any changes in that.
Sheetal?
So our golden rule was quite difficult for us to set initially, but loyalty and trustworthiness at both ends, clients as well as our team as in not only the design team but all the people who are involved in the actual construction or execution of a project. So we all know that design industry is quite unorganized in all ways, and so there are different types of malfunctioning which happen. So when this thought clicked my mind, I really decided one day that our project, any project, it should be crystal clear right from the start to the end. And that is how I try to keep, that is the golden rule.
Well, in any design practice, you have to maintain a balance between your creative satisfaction and commercial satisfaction. So recently we have discovered this, that our ultimate aim is to maintain creative satisfaction, but to balance between both. And if you are doing a project and none of your creative or professional satisfaction is not getting fulfilled and you are still wasting your time on one of the project, so yeah, you are breaking that rule. One of the thing has to be satisfied.
So commercial viability,
Yes.
is a golden rule you have followed.
Either commercial or it has to be a creative satisfaction. If a client is giving me full creative satisfaction, then I'll not look at the commercial side of it. Yeah, and if it is not creative, satisfying me creatively, definitely I have to look after my bread and butter. So yes, commercial satisfaction is also important aspect in any
Kavita?
practice.
For me, I think it's always been about transparency in the manner in which we work. As Sheetal did mention that honesty is an aspect, a very very important aspect, and most of all, for me, it has been that it has to be about an impression about them and less about me. I always try to work towards making it their dream come true, and having that extra edge of being able, given that extra responsibility of making their dream come true with my creativeness.
Plus the trick which you mentioned earlier, which helps you
Absolutely.
fulfill their dreams. Yeah. Amrita?
Yeah, I think for me also loyalty is the most important thing. And after that, what comes is what I always suggest to my employees also, to listen to the client, listen to your colleagues, listen to the consultant, so that later you can become orator. I mean, whenever clients speak, don't interrupt, and you should always have a MOM properly, so that later you have clear, written form that exactly what was happening, and it is very helpful.
Thank you so much. Chetan.
Yeah, the most important thing for us is when client is coming to us with certain like he is commissioning the project to us, we always ensure that he should be satisfied at the end, because he has given us the project, he has like put his money on to our
But that you are supposed to do as it is, as a
yeah,
professional
yeah.
architect or a designer.
Yeah.
So your golden rule is to do what you're supposed to do.
Golden rule is to, like, he should be satisfied ultimately, and he has put in his trust with us, so that has to be there, and the end product has to be there. So we go extra mile for that we are delivering.
So you mean to say that you like to give them something more than they expect from you
Exactly.
after the client's
Yeah,
brief?
exactly,
You go
exactly.
the extra mile
Yes, yes.
in terms of effort, or giving something more than they asked for.
Something more than they ask for.
Okay. Okay, Chetan. Tanvi.
For me, I think handcrafting is something that I look up to in all my projects. I feel you get satisfaction in designing a good space when you are creating something. Because mostly even the interns and all that we see around, they are just glued too much to and dependent rather on the social media or the Pinterest, or there are many other applications that get into all these. And okay, fine, you're getting into a picture, but think about creating it. And being an artist, I feel that every side to me is like a plain canvas. So I believe in handcrafting as much as you can, because it has, when you handcraft things, A, it is not done before, B, it is going to be unique, and it is going to leave your impression. Many a times when you're making a house, it is someone's their life earned money that they are spending over your over their house. Yeah, as she said, you're making someone's dream come true. It is their dream house which they have dreamt for so many years. So it's a responsibility that you have as a designer. So yeah, I think as we should get into crafting things as much as we can, like customizing things as much as we can.
Kapil.
In my projects, there are at three stages. We have a golden rule. One is present only one layout on the day one. Like I feel if we are presenting three designs, then I feel okay, I'm confused about all the three layouts which. So that's a golden rule. Whenever the presentation goes, it goes with one layout. Along with that, when the finances comes all together, so the cost is what we have shown it for. So all the 3D views or maybe a virtual reality, whatever is being shown in the presentation and the cost follows is what exactly we have shown it for. That's a second golden rule. So if the client says, okay, this PPT is done, this is the cost is done, I should not go back again to them, no, now I cannot give you this, or this is something just to show you, but this cost we have not considered. So that's the second golden rule. And time. Hand over every project on time, bang on time, one day before, but not one day later. So do whatever, take the time from the client from day one, okay, this is the project, this is going to be the timeline, and hand it over. So three different golden rules.
Excellent. That's amazing. Sheetal, which is the biggest mistake or one important mistake which you think you did during your career at work, and what did you learn from it?
Definitely one important mistake which I have done in my previous career is like I never used to write down what exactly means like clients comes on site, they give clear idea and we say yes, we have understood that part. We don't write it down and then we don't note it down properly what they exactly wants, and then we come home one as usual you are tired. Like we design the homes in Ambi and other, they are quite huge villas, so there are multiple requirements and you forget one or two requirements of your clients sometimes, and then it's like you have not written in that.
Yeah, I think in my very initial period, for every newcomers, there is something new project is coming. You are very happy, excited, and you want to deliver. Like, so there are all yes to the answers of client, and all yes to when you will deliver as soon as possible, and like this. And then of course, as the work starts, you find that there are hurdles, there are labor's problem, and etc. So I think since then I realized that you should commit less and deliver more, and then you will get the customer delight.
Uh, During my initial stage, I lost one project which would have been taken my stand to a very big level, but unfortunately I took it very lightly, thinking that it's mine project. So never after that, even my dad has asked me to design a room. He got a complete detailed presentation of what I do it for everyone. So that's it.
One important mistake I can say is not working on cost estimates during our early projects. So we were working on few bungalows like in our initial period, and we were working like initial projects are very important. They set the foundation of your practice, and we had beautiful romantic ideas on paper with beautiful detailing, and never knew the how economics works for those ideas. So we ended up doing those projects with poor detailing, and the end product didn't come as expected. So yes, cost estimate is one of the important aspect in architectural practice, and we did that mistake in earlier project.
Being over emotionally involved into a project, because the principal designer is always over involved or emotionally involved in a project. But when you cross that thin line of being involved and over involved, you miss out the logistics of, is the project going to be viable for me financially, or am I, as she said, that am I noting down the things that are, because whenever you walk down to the side, you are just like, okay, I had imagined it to be like this, and that is why I then your attention is more towards what you think. So I would say anybody is supposed to be less, of course you're supposed to be attached to your project, because till you give love to a space, it is not going to turn out the way how anyone else would like it to be. But yes, we need to identify that thin line of being involved and over involved in a project to probably sustain yourself throughout your career.
It's we never thought about the digital documentation of our projects. We started our practice 15 to 20 years back, and we never focused on that kind of documentation and all these things. But as we realized the mistake, we started on thinking on the documentation, and we came to know that it is the easier way to reach to more people, more new clients. So that's the big mistake we have done.
I remember when I was in my 20s, I started early with my profession. So I was quite confident. I was overconfident with my work. So less of paperwork and more of wall art was my style. So I used to do sketches, random sketches on the walls, and just explaining it to the laborers or the contractors, and then it is to get executed. And initially I used to just give a layout plan to the client. He used to get it approved, and that's all. Then the rest of the work, it was like I used to take over. But later on, as we had discussed this point earlier about the maturity of the clients, we realized that whatever my style of working was absolutely wrong. That was not only with design, but it was also with accounts, with all the other aspects also, like sometimes you have to have the sanctioning process, and there are so many technical things also which are involved. And there I realized paperwork is very important.
One major mistake we did is we never considered this profession we never took it as this is a business also. So initially we used to design, whatever the project comes to us, we used to design with our full skills, never asked the fees from the client.
Are you from a super rich family?
No. So initially we thought, let's just prove ourselves. The project should be complete and it should be there. So we never asked for the fees, and it like design process took like 2 months, 3 months, and when the first time we discuss about the commercial part, like fees, and the client has taken out the project and maybe has given to the some senior architects, that was the biggest mistake I would say.
Yeah, to me, I would say it's in the formative years of Cool Homes that actually can say I made a blunder, and yeah, but I think mistakes are good learning or good teachers basically. We have all our Cool Home projects are green projects, and since the brand was about progressive branding homes as such, we moved into green certification, and we were trying to understand the aspects, and in that entire flow I missed on a very crucial aspect of retaining soil, understanding green not only in terms of building or execution or materials, but right at that base point where you first strike ground, and how important is soil, the number of years that it would take, and something which is totally irreplaceable on this planet. And that was something where I thought, I have perceived green in a very different way after that. That yes, the first moment when I think about green, I need to think it just at that base point. So, yeah.
Well spoken. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out, being so forthright about your opinions, being so candid, and sharing your strengths as well as weaknesses. Thank you so much for being on ANA Digest Mighty Mind.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.